Welcome to Tesla AI Day 2022. I do want to set some expectations with respect to our Optimus robot.
Today I want to talk about AI and robots. We've just had a whole new discussion about this because of Elon Musk introducing his new robot. Now, many people underimpressed with what he did, but he's also surprised the world many times over. People thought that the Tesla wasn't going to come off as it has. And so he's always full of surprises when he says he's going to be able to do something. And the whole point with what he's doing is he's trying to manufacture robots in a cost-efficient way. Many people are doing it in creating robots, but they're not at a cost-efficient rate. And you look at some of his videos, and he's got his robot working in a manufacturing production area. He's got them delivering packages. So the application of his robot is quite amazing. What I find fascinating about that right now is look at the discussion we're having about the quiet quitters, about the great resignation, about what it is that employers want and employees want, and the clash that we seem to be creating. And at the same time, we have this phenomenon now that's being introduced more and more around robotics and AI. The problem is we're really not talking about what the impact is going to be on the workplace, nor do we have it in any way regulated so that we have an honesty that's involved. So I think there's a lot of issues. We need to be thoughtful about what it is that we're wanting to do. The AI and robots are a part of our future. We need to define their role and not let them define the role for us. So I have watched them, and there's a fascination with robots, right? That something that's a machine can do what we do, and sometimes better, stronger. They don't have the physical wear and tear in some ways that we have, although certainly mechanics can wear out as well. There is a fascination. There's a power that we give to a robot that we wouldn't necessarily give to one another without checking things out more carefully. And sometimes what we're seeing, especially in our movies, iRobot, Transformers, and other, the robots get out of control. Somebody is manipulating the robot behind the scenes that we're not aware of, and they're doing things that can be quite devious and cunning and destructive. And I think that's why, if we're going to have robots and AI be a serious part of our workplaces and our lives, we need to start really thinking about how we want to structure it and how we want to regulate it. Think of yesterday's announcement with Tesla and Elon Musk relative to Twitter. And some people saying that they're estimating that Twitter has about 80% bots sending messages on Twitter. Well, what does that really mean? Does that mean that there's anything on Twitter that is real? Just 20%, and all of the rest is just reiteration of what somebody wants you to know and think. That's scary, because social media is where we're getting much of our information. But the same thing is true at work and in our regular lives. If we're getting repetitive messages that are negative, for example, or tell us that we have to change, or shaming us, it impacts what it is that we're able to contribute. We now have a society that is not operating at its optimum. That's dangerous. It's not a society that we want. I use social media, so obviously I am a supporter of it. It's facilitated my life. On the other hand, when I work with my colleagues in Japan, for example, they have asked me, please do not send emails, please do not send us messages via social media. They don't trust it. They prefer, actually, that I use the old-fashioned mail system because they feel that it's safer. So what is it that we've done that's created this distrust? It's not just there. When I was in Hong Kong doing business before the crackdown that China more recently had, even then people in Hong Kong were very reluctant to give up email addresses or to give social media connections, because they were afraid that they were being watched, that there were things that would be misinterpreted. And so they wanted direct contact or contact the very old-fashioned way. So we have this system going on where, yes, it has wonderful value. I see lots of value to robots. Think of it. A lot of things that happen in healthcare. Hospitals, for example, if we really had good robots, a robot could do some of that and we wouldn't have some of the labor issues that we have. Same thing with manufacturing. But it has to be done responsibly. Somebody somewhere else can't control it. It's like my Tesla. If I'm driving it and suddenly somebody else takes control of my car and sends me someplace I had no intention of going, that's very scary.
Okay, now that's scary.
The technology is there for good and for bad. We need to define that. We need to structure it. We need to really have some good discussions about it. Well, machines are created by people. If you watch iRobot, that's one of the problems that they have there, right? The machines finally take over and the humans are trying desperately to manage it. And that fear is there. We can, through algorithms, let the machine take over, I suppose, at some point. What I'm concerned about more is how we use it, what our algorithms will keep building into our system. So think of it today. We have a very PC culture. We have people who don't want to be engaged in the workplace because they feel shamed and blamed, and they just want to do work. They don't feel like they're part of the issues that they're being shamed for. And so they've chosen to stay at home. That's one group. It's certainly not all of the people who are staying at home, but it is one portion. But part of that is that perspective of what they're getting. You take AI, and if we do all of our training, for example, in a corporation, or even our coaching through AI, and we build algorithms around what our biases are, now we're pushing people into a mindset, our mindset, one mindset. And if you look at what makes something strong, what makes for good decisions, it's breadth of opinion, it's diversity of opinion, and it's going from a scale from people who are very knowledgeable to people at the very bottom end of knowledge, but who have a perspective. And if we don't appreciate that and don't bring that into what we're looking at, we end up with something that we're horrified with in the end. And I think what's happening right now with Twitter, it's a gift that we're being forced to have a discussion about what's the role of bots? How is it influencing us? Is it positive? Is it negative? If it controls the narrative, then we have only one thing process, right? That's group thinking. That's not healthy. If a government can take over and manage its population through social media, you can have a government that you really don't choose. Well, we see that with elections. If social media controls a perspective, then in a sense you're controlling government. At a personal level, we're seeing its impact on children and teenagers. You look at what influencers say you should be, how you should look, how you should be responding, how you should be viewing dating, how you should look at another gender, or we're not even sure we want to call it gender right now, but the other of another group. And so people are left being very confused. How should they think? And we don't have that sense of values, of responsibility, of accountability in our social media, and right now, certainly not within AI either, because there is nobody looking at what's going on. People were worried that there was manipulation in social media during the last election, but was it real? We didn't know because nobody could get access to it to find out. There was no transparency. So without transparency, I think that it becomes very dubious. We're already doubting almost everything that is brought to us by experts these days. I think that's been one of the fallouts of COVID, is we've begun to question and doubt what experts tell us. So what really is real? People need to know there's some place they can go that's real. There is truth someplace. There's a plumb line. Somebody is holding a plumb line and looking to make sure, is it within this range of truth or is it an outlier? I think we're beginning to see a discussion about limiting social media, for example, so that there's more balance in people's life. But I think one of the things that's going to happen is people are going to find a real need for redefining values. What's important for them? What's their purpose in life? And for some, it'll be a spiritual connection, a returning to a belief system. But I think there will be a search that will be going on. And again, people begin to search. The issue is, where do they search? If they go to social media, you've only recreated the problem that you're trying to escape. So I think, yes, we're going to see people going to in-person things. We want something that's authentic and real. The problem I find is there's so many things that people pitch and talk about that aren't real. They have learned marketing to the T. They're great marketers, and there's no truth and no substance behind it. And our freedom of speech has perpetuated it. Within that, I think we also need to have a discussion. Is it appropriate to abuse freedom of speech by filling the space with lies and not being able to even ask the question, is it a lie? Because then you're denying somebody's freedom of speech. These are discussions that we need to have because they impact our future. They impact what we hear, they impact what we believe, they impact what we see, they impact really how we choose and how we go about things. When you think about the bots on Twitter that is receiving discussion right now, think of what Tesla wrote about just yesterday, where they said that over 80% of Twitter accounts are likely bots. That's from a former FBI security specialist. So FBI is beginning to look at that, and if they're determining that it's 80%, we better stop and think about what we're doing. Supporting that concept comes from top cybersecurity Business Insider, where they concur. It's 80% of Twitter accounts, they say, are probably bots. Think of it, just at the time when we thought the Tesla or the Elon Musk and Twitter deal was a thing on the back burner that probably wouldn't come forward for some time, Elon Musk is back at it again, and we hear that the deal may go through and at the original price that Elon offered to purchase Twitter. The issue I think that's so interesting and concerning is that in the process of all of these discussions, we're learning that Twitter perhaps has as much as 80% use of bots on its site. What does that mean? Does that mean that only 20% of what you really see is real? The other 80% is simply there to control how we think and how we approach issues, how we get advertising dollars, for example. That's manipulative. That's dishonest. And Twitter has avoided at all costs letting us know what their rate of bots really is. And so it makes us question more, doesn't it? Their lack of transparency only makes us ask more questions. And certainly what we're seeing with Elon Musk makes us ask them even more. It'll be interesting to see if this deal closes. It looks like Elon now wants to actually purchase Twitter for his $44 billion that he originally set as the price. The question is, what will now happen? How will he respond to the issues about transparency and the integrity of the company? What does that really mean for social media and how we use it in the future? A question that we really need to ponder is what really is behind Elon Musk. Some people say he's a hero, right? Because he's brought us all sorts of incredible technology, inventions. Think of the Tesla. We haven't had really the interest in the electric car until Elon Musk brought forth his Tesla. So is he this hero that we look up to, we admire because he has this incredible mind? He's gone to space and he's made it affordable. Nobody else has been able to do that, and he's brought people back alive at the same time. Others think of him as a villain, just an opportunist, another opportunist. And because he'll say one thing and then later he'll do it a little bit differently than what he said. So who is he really? That's the question we ask about everything. Who are the people behind what goes on? And when we don't have a way of evaluating, we have trouble sorting. And that's why I think it brings me back to, we've got to get back to our roots and know what our value system is, what's important to us, so we can begin to measure and evaluate, not just be impressed. Yes, the technology is great, and yes, it has multiple uses. It can create incredible opportunities for us in many ways. It can also be one of the most horrific things that has ever happened to humankind.
Visit our website at www.startwithcollaboration.com. We're eager to help you with the challenges that you face today. There are many, and although there's challenges, there are opportunities. It's knowing how to look for them.